What would things look like if every time you turned on social media, there wasn't something trying to sell you? It's natural to think that social media was designed for us, the users of the platform, but at the end of the day, that's not what it's turned into. It may have started there, but now it is not that way. And if you're not aware of it, then you might not know that every little lingering moment you hang on a post or an advertisement is tracked by the algorithm inside of these social media platforms and other places as well. Search engines and websites sometimes have this type of technology built into it in order, usually as a goal, to get more and better advertisers in front of us. In theory, this sounds fine. It sounds great, actually. I would love to see more products of things that I'm actually interested in. But in practice, what ends up happening is advertisers make a qualification list of things that they want their advertisement to be in front of the types of people that they want their advertisement in front of. And as long as we fit that demographic, male, female, age, location, those types of things, the algorithm wants to spend as much money as the advertiser is willing to do. So the algorithm isn't designed to optimize what we want and what we desire, the end user. It in turn is designed to optimize spending what the advertiser has allocated towards that particular advertisement. But wouldn't it be great if it were different? If a post were actually just a post and the only information that the platforms held on to was the information that we actually submitted into their applications? The chief goal of platforms and search engines and a lot of other websites are to keep us engaged for as long as possible. Time is the only currency that we have. We trade our time most frequently for a paycheck at work. That gives us money then to pay our bills and whatnot. But money isn't a true currency. Money is just a representation of the time that we traded for it. So platforms are designed to keep us engaged for longer. Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because our attention is being sold to the highest bidder in the form of advertisers, because we are the product online. As human beings, we are the cattle being sold online to advertisers so that they can then spend that money to these platforms and other types of websites. And that's most of the models online. Get an advertisement on your site, start to make money. Get an advertisement on your video, start to make money. The idea being that the customer is not the creator. The customer is not the person consuming the creation. The customer is the advertiser. So I don't think that's correct. I think that's wrong. I think morally that's a wrong way to do business, because we're sold this idea that it's free and it's something that we can interact with free of charge. But really then it's designed to keep us captured there and to stay for as long as possible. So when I went about creating Nyched, I decided to take a different route. I decided to start with you first, the end user, the person who's going to be using the app. And I said to myself, how can I create a platform where social interactions can still happen, but the user is now my customer? And I came up with having different subscription levels. There's going to be a free tier, it's free forever, but there's also going to be tiers where you get to choose, you have optionality. You can choose to have more functionality within the app. You can choose to have no ads in the app. And when you are willing to do that, you get to have an experience that's totally devoid of ads. And the other bonus is you get to become my customer, which means I care a lot more about you than I do about the advertisers. And hopefully a lot of people adopt this model. I also remove the algorithm. So Nyched is designed for connection, not for addiction. It's designed so that you can connect to anything you would want to, whether that be a brand or an advertiser or someone that you know or someone you just want to follow. Or the biggest change with Nyched is there are topics to follow. There's niches to follow. So if you love windsurfing, you get to follow the topic of windsurfing. And in turn, that allows you to curate and populate your feed. Because you have so much control, this means that you're not going to be doom scrolling as often for as long as you typically do. Hopefully not at all is the goal. That's my goal, to not have you be in the app as much as possible. I want you to stop consuming so much and go be a doer out in the real world. So because you curated your feed, though, that means you get the dopamine hit that you were looking for much faster, which means you have more time to go do these things that you're being passionate about, that you're interested in. Now, if you like spending all of your time online, that's your decision. You can still do that on Nyched, but you're not being followed by some algorithm and you're not being kept from information, and you get to be in total control. In the current state of things, platforms and other websites are exploiting our data all of the time, 24/7, 365. There isn't a moment we spend online where something about us isn't being tracked. And most of the time, even if it's a small little website, it's the big company that's doing the tracking because they put a bit of code onto their website so that they could get a better insight into who their audience is. But that's also being utilized behind the scenes by the big platforms who created this quote-unquote tool to capture that information. Now, on social media platforms, everything you do is tracked. From the amount of time that you're logged into the app and actually scrolling and looking at things and watching videos, to the types of content you are consuming, how long you linger on a specific post or a topic or what you search for, as well as the advertisement data. All of that is used to create a profile on you so that you can be better advertised to. Because at the end of the day, because the platforms are quote unquote free, that means that they have to make money somehow because they are beholden to their investors and their shareholders and stockholders and whoever else along the chain is expecting to make money off of the product that is these platforms. So they create profiles on us so they can better advertise to us, which means we're not their customer, we're actually their product. And the customer is actually the person paying the money, right? That's with any business. Any customer is whoever is putting the money into the business. So the vast majority of the time, that's not you and me. The vast majority of the time, that is the advertiser that creates an ad and an ad campaign and says, I want to spend $50 to put this ad in front of this type of people. And then the algorithms do their job to fill that quota. I don't think this is right. It's certainly a way to do business, but I don't think it's a good way to do business. So when I went about creating the plan for Nyched, part of it was we're not going to harvest data and store these massive profiles on you and what you do and how you use the application and watch everything you do while you're logged into the app. Instead, I believe that it should be intuitive, like having a friend, right? My friends only know what I tell them about, or maybe what I told another friend and they told them through secondhand information. But my friends don't know what time I woke up this morning or what I had for breakfast or how long I spent in the shower unless I choose to tell them those things. Now, that's a very interesting relationship if you're choosing to do all of that nitty-gritty work to give it to them. But that's what the algorithms do. They're always following you when you're online. They're always right there with you. The ideology of Nyched believes in making you the customer instead of the product. The product is niched. The product is potentially advertisements that will show up. But the only information Nyched will have available to assist the advertisers is the information that you make a conscious click to give to us. That's why I've organized the app into interest groups. So hopefully you do get better advertisements, but so that I don't need to track you and follow all this data. It's just a checkbox in a table essentially that says, oh, I like skiing and I like kayaking and I like cycling. And then those advertisers can come along and advertise in those specific areas to hopefully benefit both sides of things so that the advertiser isn't wasting so much money hoping to hit a customer that is actually interested in their product, and so that the experience that you get is more tailored and curated to you. I also want to provide a way for you to truly become 100% a customer where there are no advertisements at all when you opt to subscribe to the platform so that you truly get an experience that is ad-free. That way, you get to curate your environment in totality 100%. Now, maybe you like the advertisements. That's fine. I think that's great. If you don't care about them, you can just go into the free side of things and get the advertisements as they come. But without the tracking, without watching what you do, without maybe keeping information and data away from you, which is the other big task that algorithms do. They stop information, certain information, from getting to us based on the bias of the programmers at the very least, if not actively turning up dials and turning down dials. Algorithms distort what we see, and it boosts information and topics that are being engaged with more. Now, on its face, that's not necessarily a bad thing to see what's popular, but it's very easy to do without an algorithm that also has functionality built in to track us and to control what we see next and to augment what's coming up next in our feed. Also, because of the way algorithms are created, that means that there's a lot of sameness online. Think about how many videos you've ever seen where they're identical to another video, but they might be slightly different. Maybe it's on a topic that is, the 10 best of X, and you've got 100 videos on the 10 best of X, right? So it doesn't foster creativity. It puts them in a position where they have to chase that next viral moment so that more people see them, so that they can continue to create content that the platform deems good enough to put advertisements on because they're making their livelihood on it. I don't think that's the right way to go about things. It's not good for us. It's not good for people who create content. It doesn't give enough credit to the people who are spending their lives doing these things. And it doesn't give us enough latitude to make decisions for ourselves. So probably the biggest and craziest thing I did when I was thinking about Nyched is I said, I don't think we need an algorithm. And I'm going to be honest, it's an experiment. I am committed to create a platform that does not have an algorithm, but maybe it doesn't work. I can't see how it won't, because we don't have algorithms in the real world, and we all seem to find a way to connect with our passions and the things that we're interested in. But it is an experiment to see if people will engage with a type of platform like this. My goal is to have real interactions with real people in the real world, ultimately, that are then shared on Nyched, and that connects people to the things they're most passionate about as quickly as possible, so you can get back to being a doer of things. I want you out there in the real world experiencing your life to the fullest. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you give me another minute to talk a little more about Nyched. I know I've kind of been talking about the ideology of Nyched throughout this video so far, and I'll talk about it a little more, but Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform. And the idea behind that is it's a new category of social platforms online where the user is at the center of the story. It's where you are in total control to curate your environment, and there's no algorithms or gatekeepers there, following you around, tracking what you do, and keeping you from the information that you truly want to see. There's other things as well, but if any of that interests you, go to Resist the Algorithm to learn more, learn exactly what a human interaction platform is, and, let me know what you think. Put a comment down below if you have questions about anything, or if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me, or whatever. I love doing this. I love having these conversations. Nyched is truly a game changer. It's the first of its kind, and it's going to change the world. So thank you so much for being here, and let's get back to this video. On sites that are ad-driven, that are solely focused on that revenue portion of the model through how they program their algorithm and get information in front of us, it fosters burnout and anxiety, and it's a real concern for mental health. There's been a lot of studies over the last handful of years that have come out on the detriment of spending too much time online. Now, it's not as big of a deal for certain groups of people who just kind of shy away from it anyway, or that are very active. But society has shifted over the last few years to being more introverted, to doing hobbies that are at home, not going out as much into the world and interacting with different types of people with different types of ideologies. This all stems back to how to keep us engaged for longer, how to keep us on the platforms for longer, ultimately so that they can get a couple extra minutes or a couple extra seconds to show us an ad, which ticks a box for their customer, the advertiser, and it allows them to charge them more of their budget on that specific ad. So instead of getting that dopamine hit that we're looking for, that momentary release, to leave reality for a moment and see what other people are doing in the world, getting that dopamine hit off of the things that we're passionate about, it fosters doom scrolling and insecurity to keep us swiping so that hopefully we get that tank filled up. I know for me, most of the time the tank doesn't get filled up. Most of the time I get exhausted before I'm actually satisfied with what I went to look for online. And I have to be very conscious of that. Most of us otherwise, if we weren't thinking about it, if we were just left to our own devices, not having any other responsibilities, not having any other thing to take our attention away, we would get sucked in and stay there. These algorithms are very good at what they do, at keeping us engaged for as long as possible. How many times have you hopped online and said, oh, I'm just going to check my notifications for 5 minutes? And then it turns out it's an hour later, 2 hours later, oh my goodness, it's midnight or 1 a.m, and you really have to get to bed because you have responsibilities the next day to family and kids and work. It's just completely different. It's a safer and calmer place. It's a place where you can come to get that dopamine hit because you specifically told the application what you want to see and when you wanted to see it. And you specifically told the application what types of notifications you want to get because you are most aware of what you need and who you are. And it allows you to have total control. The idea is to not make you a target, but Nyched instead was built for authenticity. So we can find those things that we're most passionate about and hopefully find new things that we're passionate about as well, and new people to follow inside of those interests and those passions and ideologies that we hold. So Nyched is all around designed so that you can become a customer. You have optionality, you have autonomy. You get to decide at what level you want to interact with the platform. If you want a platform that's ad-free, there's a subscription tier for that. If you want a platform where you don't have to care about that stuff, but you know you're not being tracked, Nyched is the perfect solution for that. I said this earlier, algorithms foster sameness and they foster conformity. They foster the idea of, hey, here's what's viral, go chase that. Talk about the topics that are already being talked about. There aren't many original ideas online because it's risky to do that as a creator, to put something out that is original, because you might not be able to sustain that. It might not be something that's popular. And if it's not popular, it means it affects your bottom line as a creator, especially if that's the way you're making your living. There are smaller creators out there that don't care. They just put things out. But a lot of the big ones, they found something that works and they continue to do the same thing over and over again with a slightly different flavor. The uniqueness of life gets lost online, and it's very whitewashed. It's very, identical. The spaces we get to hang out in online have become very whitewashed, and it's all because the algorithms are pushing us down a path so that they can continue to keep their advertisers happy and creating more advertisements and campaigns. Nyched is unique in the sense that I want every experience to be original and unique. The design of Nyched is so that you follow different topics and niches, and every single person's feed is going to be unique. Your experience on Nyched is going to be different from my experience on Nyched, and also Joe's experience on Nyched, and whoever else uses it as well. Nyched is about connecting your ideas to other people, connecting you to other people with similar passions and experiencing those things online, but hopefully then also offline as well. The goal is to do that all without algorithms, pushing it on a path, tracking what we do, following us around, keeping notes on that. The next time we hop into the app, they serve as quote unquote better content. Platforms give us the false sense that we are doing things together with other people, this false sense of connection. They isolate us and remove us from the real world. I mean, it's inherent in technology. Most technology to some degree removes us from the real world, takes our attention away from the things that are most important to us. Now, there's benefits to the online social interaction sphere. It's why I created Nyched in the first place. But social media companies design their algorithms and their applications so that we would feel isolated, in turn want to look for a satisfaction to that loneliness, and that in turn keeps us on the platforms for longer. They're designed to get clicks, not to get friendships or engagements, or to get us out into the real world doing real things. Part of my goal is to create an environment where we don't have to be consumers all the time, but we can get what we're looking for and then go out in the world and be doers of the things that we're most passionate about. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like yet, but one of my big goals and things that I'm thinking about on how to incorporate into Nyched is how to have integrations that encourage offline interactions. that actually encourages us to get out and have real world connections with other people who are passionate about the same things that we are. So we're not just stuck behind a screen in the middle of the summer hoping to see another skiing video. I'm guilty of that. I want us to get out and actually do things. When I think back on my life and I think about the best experiences or memories that I had, none of them, not one of them, ever has been behind a screen. It's never been, oh, that one time when I was on social media and I was looking at this thing, that was the best time of my life. No, the best times of our lives, and I think you'll relate with this too, are when we're with other people. Even if we're the most introverted person in the world, when we're having the most fun is usually when we're making connections with other people. It's the adventures we go on. It's the 2 a.m. road trip that we decide to go do because we're not tired right now. It's the big vacation we've been planning for the last 5 years to a bucket list destination. It's watching our kids take their first steps. Those are the things that stand out in our lives. And I think those are going to be the things that stand out in our lives 50 years from now. It's never going to be, I was scrolling through TikTok one day and I saw this amazing video and that is the highlight of my life. And that's what Nyched aims to do. It aims to more mirror the reality of the real world of how we've organized life so that we can in turn have a similar experience online and hopefully get offline more frequently. The decisions these platforms make, especially if they're public companies, are driven by their investors. Because at the end of the day, if investors pull out, then they are losing again. So whenever they make a decision or they make a change to the application, and frankly, nowadays, most of the time, I'm sure we don't see the changes that are made to the application because they don't get updated very often. In the beginning, there are new features added all the time. But when these changes are made, they're made with the idea that it's a good idea for their investors. It's not a good idea for their users. It's not a good idea for their creators, meaning the people who create content on their system. It's a good idea for the advertisers, which is one form of investor. And it's a good idea for the people who own stock in the company, which is another form of investor. The problem I have is with it being a free platform where we're told we get this autonomy and the freedom to follow the things we want and to see the things we want to see. And then all of the time, after we follow some things, the algorithm is making decisions behind the scenes for us. There's no accountability for the platforms from their users because their users are not the people that they are accountable to because the users are the product. With Nyched, it's privately owned, and that allows us to make the best decision possible for our customer, which is our users. And that's one of the most unique things about our platform. We're saying from the get-go, our users are our customers. We're going to continue to find ways to make you our customer or give you the optionality to be our customer. That means that there will never be an algorithm on Nyched. And if this experiment fails, then it failed and we learned some things. But at the end of the day, we don't answer to Wall Street. We don't answer to some angel investor that gave us millions of dollars. We don't answer to anyone except for you and your feedback and what we decide together is best for the platform. This platform was not built for advertisers. It wasn't built for investors. It was built primarily for you and for creators to be creative and have more freedom. If platforms weren't built primarily for advertisers to make money, everything would change. The experience would be different. Our mental health level would be different. We would have no algorithms tracking us or gatekeepers telling us what information we could get a hold of. We would have a more direct line to the things that we're most passionate about and the things we want to interact with and the ideologies we want to talk about. And create an environment where, other ideas are rubbing up against ours and we can all get better together. Platforms right now does not foster any of this. But Nyched does. Nyched is the world's first human interaction platform, and it's totally within your control. To learn more, go to resistthealgorithm.com. If you like this video, if you like what I'm talking about, do all the things we ask you to do, especially the comments. I love talking to people in the comments about these things. But for now, I'm Ryan, and thank you very much for being here. I'm out.